Hello everyone. Shishir Lakhani graduated in UK and moved to Canada in 1976. After a short stint as a professional in the building industry, he ventured out and found a family-run manufacturing company. After 27 years of rapid growth and much success, he sold the business and retired at an early age of 53. The entrepreneurial business life of having worn so many hats gave him solid grounding in many aspects of running and managing a fast-growing, complex business. But even more important, a deeper understanding of human nature. A lifelong learner, he now flourishes in a phrase of giving back and self-development. A distinguished Toastmaster and well-known public speaker, a past member of the board of directors at Heart and Stroke Foundation, board member and advisor to many businesses through ACE, a business advisory board. Shishir has numerous awards, including his Private Sovereign Medal from Governor General of Canada. Welcome, Shishir.
Thank you so very much, Ala, and welcome to all of you. So many faces I already know, and some new ones, which is always nice to see. First of all, let me start with a caveat. I'm no expert in peace. Like all of you, I fight with my own devils every night. With that said, the title says, what if peace breaks out? That's almost a violent statement, isn't it? Breaks out. But having said that, I will really try and say to you that not being an expert is perhaps something that I realized, because the more I learned, the more I realized how little I know. Also, as Stu knows when he plays badminton with me, I'm no longer young, not young enough to know all the answers anymore, Stu. Having said that, I will try to convey many aspects of the subject, what if peace broke out. I'll try and stay balanced in my reflections, and I'm looking to encourage a healthy and productive discussion to follow my brief talk. So I shall now begin by sharing the screen. Okay, what if peace broke out? Reflections on war, humanity, and hope. Is war ever justifiable? Most people would say no. Is it a human condition? Are we biologically made that we're always in that fear factor? Flight, fright. Is it a psychological phenomenon? Economic, or are there social factors involved? Because wars have shaped nations, have defended freedoms many a times. Yet wars have caused immense, yes, I repeat, immense suffering and destruction. A human condition. We are always concerned about self-protection, a survival instinct. Psychologically, there's a need for power, need for domination. In life, they say, especially when I run a business, winners and losers. Darn shame. It has caused so much distress in human beings and has damaged so many. The economic factors sometimes drive into warfare, because to the winners go the spoils. Power and greed sometimes affect how governments behave, how kingdoms behave, how leaders behave. Loots and treasures. Social factors like tribal loyalties sometimes drive warfare. Sectionalizing people, nationalism, patriotism, religions, you name it. it starts drawing distinctions, the boundaries between them and us. Where does it stop? Is it me, myself, and I? Is it my family? Is it my community? Is it my country? Where do I draw that line? Robert Frost said in his poetry titled Mending Wall, good fences make good neighbors. Good fences make good neighbors. Yes, there's a lot of sense to that. Can we learn from history? Because they do say history has so much to teach us, except we forget. What lessons has humanity learned or failed to learn from past conflicts? Can we ever evolve beyond wars as a means of resolving disputes? We seem to go to that war scenario very quickly. So how can we resolve these type of conflicts? Hegel had something interesting to say. We learn from history that we do not learn from history. We learn from history that we do not learn from history. Why do we say rest in peace? Why don't we live in peace? It's so easily said, rest in peace, my friend, you're gone. Had we only not said that throughout their whole lives, wouldn't that have been so much better? Some quotes on war and peace. Benjamin Franklin, very practical, pragmatic inventor, businessman, one of the very famous founders. To be prepared for war is one of the most effectual means of preserving peace. Being prepared is basically telling the other side, we're not afraid, we will take you on if necessary. And yet Voltaire, the pessimist here, said, it is forbidden to kill, therefore all murderers are punished unless they kill in large numbers, and to the sound of trumpets. We glorify a war. Remember, these are people of their times. Peace is the ultimate goal, but is it achieved? But it has to be achieved through justice. So said Thomas Aquinas, who basically defined just wars. Bertrand Russell said, war does not determine who is right, only who is left. H.G. Wells said, if we don't end war, it will end us all. Einstein said, war has been won, now let's try and win the peace. E.M. Forster. Now he's making a feminist statement here. He's saying, I'm sure if the mothers of various nations would meet, there would be no more wars. And yet it could be challenged. It was Margaret Thatcher who went to Falklands. But was she wearing men's shoes in order to fit in and do what she did? Questions that always remain open to discussion. Norman Mailer said, any war that requires a suspension of reason as a necessity to support is a bad war. How many times we abandon reasoning, rationality, and join the gang, become sheep being led into wars. The effects of war. From preparation, all the bravado, going off to war, to the deaths, destructions, and the innocent victims. Women and children, not spared. So let's try and see what are the justifications for war. Why would we need to go to war? The just war philosophy, the theories, there has to be a cause, an intent. It has to be a last resort, and the reaction should be proportional. Self-defense, of course, a great reason for wars, because it's for survival. World War II, the Nazism. We also can see the value of justification of wars being defending freedoms and ending tyrannies, civil war in the States, slavery in the States, end of colonialism across the world. Now, my friend John told me to make sure I include this slide. It's based on the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita has been written on the Hindu tradition, and it's set during a war period, the epic war of Mahabharata. It frames the war as a moral duty to fight for justice and for righteousness. The Gita arises from this conflict, exploring the ethics, the purpose, and duty in war. Defending freedom is often demands confrontation with injustice. Conflict, though tragic, reflects the universal human struggle for meaning, for the right action. So those who are not familiar with the Mahabharata, I'll give you a very brief context. It's two sets of cousins vying for the throne, the kingdom. And now they're facing each other in a battlefield. Very much like Game of Thrones, if you've seen that. The man you see on his knees is the prince. He's seen his opposition. That's his kith and kin. And he throws down his bows and arrows and he says, I cannot fight these people. They're my uncles, they're my cousins, they are my fellow blood brothers. And the person you see standing beside is the charioteer for his war. And that's Krishna giving him the values, explaining to him that this trepidation you feel is a moral and emotional dilemma all humans face, whether you face it in a war, like the one you're seeing in a picture, or you face it within, because there's a war inside all of us, trying to decipher right from wrong. How do I do, and how do I justify morally to myself what is right and what is wrong? A wonderful analogy, because when you really think about it, the Bhagavad Gita translates away from the war itself into the human way of behavior. Duty to fight for the right. Conflict is a human condition, and we all need to be prepared for it. Are there any positive consequences of war? Surprisingly, yes, there is. So much progress comes out through warfare. Inventions, technological progress, radar, jet engines came out, internet came out of it, nuclear energy, satellite, GPS, medicine, blood banks, antibiotics even. Decolonization happened after wars. National unity and identity got entrenched. Political instruments happened so that no such big war can recur. United Nations was formed, NATO, ICC, World Bank. All these things came as a result of wars. So there are some side effects, unintended consequences. Case against the war is the human cost, that of suffering. From the Civil War, Sherman, war is hell. Sartre said, when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Psychological traumas, PTSDs, broken families, genocides, victimized minorities, 10 million deaths, World War I, 50 million deaths, World War II. You can see the escalation. And they say World War II was a consequence of World War I. Moral and environmental damage is also so critical. So does it mean pacifism is the right answer? Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., war is never justified. But then do you become a doormat? Nonviolent resistance achieves a change. India did. US civil rights did. How about the environmental impact? Agent Orange came out of it. Oil well fires, Middle East, nuclear winter. So many things that we all need to be cognizant of. It was Gandhi who actually said, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Isaac Asimov, an idealist. There are no nations. There's only humanity. And if we don't come to understand that right soon, there will be no nations because there will be no humanity. An African proverb, war is created by people too old to fight, or those too young to die. So case against the wars is erosion of freedoms. Wartime governments restricts rights. World War I, World War II, we saw that. 9/11 brought in the Patriot Act. Everybody's under surveillance all the time. James Madison said, if tyranny, oppression comes in the guise of fighting a foreign enemy, they say weapons of mass distraction can, of course, be utilized to start warfare. So a balanced reflection now is Steven Pinker's book, Better Angels of Our Nature, was quite encouraging and optimistic. He says since the World War II, we've seen the most peaceful time on Earth. And you can justify it if you look at those numbers. The UN has acted up and they started to stop wars. Until recently, they had some power and teeth. They say per capita deaths due to war have declined. That may be a step in the right direction. So wars sometimes appear necessary, but always come at a cost. Can humanity resolve conflicts without war? And the supreme art of war, by Sun Tzu, says, subdue the enemy without fighting. Mr. Franklin again, life's tragedy is that we get too old too soon and wise too late. So in summary, war justification is complex and deeply subjective. There is power dynamics, perceptions, and they shape what just causes and how do we define just causes for wars. That fog of war obscures the truth. Accountability is mired in double standards, helped and aided, abetted by media. Each side sees its own point of view, whereas one sees a 6, the other sees a 9. In closing, would it not be nice if peace were to actually break out? May peace be our default, not our dream. Before I conclude, I just want to say thank you to all of you for bearing with me on this. And this is not meant to point fingers or decide what's right, what's wrong. It is something for us to do some introspection on. We've shared some memorable moments. I'm hoping this will create some interesting dialogues and discussions. They should be healthy, productive, and definitely not adversarial. Thank you.